are evicting me for not paying my rent, correct? I don't want my rent back. I am paying my rent on time.
So I will give these to you.
Nope, they're not mine. They are yours. You people are ridiculous.
What's up, you guys, and welcome back to Barebone Truth. We're going to be talking about the housing crisis today, and is it even true that there are some big companies, cough, cough, BlackRock, that are buying up a lot of these starter homes and jacking up the prices? But not only are they jacking up the prices, right? They are making you a forever renter. And are you guys shocked by that? No, I'm not. Have you guys looked at the prices of housing today? Look at the prices of rent. It's crazy. It's insane. Welcome to 2025. But the thing is, though, is that this is happening worldwide, not just in the United States. So keep that in mind, that even if you go to another country, they're going to be facing crisis as well. But if you're from the US, you have the US dollar. So you have that to go back on. But let's get started with these videos and see what craziness this world is up to.
A rental trap? That's the question a Georgia senator's asking. He's launching an investigation into 4 companies he says are buying up homes and driving up prices, pushing the American dream farther out of reach.
News 4JAX consumer investigator Tiffany Salome introduces us to one woman who's caught in the middle, renting from one of the very companies now under a microscope, all while trying to buy a home of her own. On this street, big investors are making money.
You've been renting this house for how long?
10 years.
Wow, it's a long time.
That is a long time.
Yeah.
10 years being a renter. Let that sink in. Do you know her house, depending on which one she purchased, could have been almost paid off? That's wild.
Yeah.
It's not so apparent from the outside looking in, but investment firms are building wealth in the same neighborhoods where families used to.
What's the situation now? Are you ready to get out?
We are definitely ready to get out.
Rebecca Jove is one of thousands of people in Jacksonville, stuck in what she calls the rental trap.
Excuse the mess. This is the guest bedroom, but we had a leak here probably 3 or 4 years ago. They had to cut a hole to get to the leak in the bathroom and never came to repair the hole in the wall that they cut. And underneath the sink here, they did fix the leak, but they did not fix the mold and the sinking of the cabinet.
That is just like totally in the ground.
Totally in the ground. It's just completely sunk in. So we can't even use it for storage or anything. So
These are just a few of the issues Rebecca has had to deal with over the last few years while renting her home in Middleburg from Invitation Homes. She says she's also spent the last 4 weeks without a working AC.
And you can't cook, you can't do your laundry, you cannot mop, it's not the same, your floors feel sticky, it's hotter in the house than it is outside.
The real estate investment company owns and manages over 80,000 homes in neighborhoods across the nation, including hundreds of homes in Northeast Florida.
How you would describe like your experience renting from Invitation Home for the last 10 years?
So in the beginning it was great. In the beginning it was a good start, but the further that we got along, the more that you can see that it was, rent being jacked up every year, every single year for the last 10 years. We started off at a fair price and ended up paying far too much. So it has impacted our ability to actually get out and buy a house, which is what we are looking to do.
While we spoke to Rebecca at her home in Middleburg, Florida, this is an issue impacting people nationwide, including in Georgia, where Senator Jon Ossoff has launched an investigation into large out-of-state companies purchasing single-family homes, a practice he says is raising prices and squeezing out local families.
More and more Georgians who are renting instead of buying are facing mistreatment or abusive practices by corporate landlords. And since 2009, public reports and research have identified an increase across the country in large national firms buying up single-family homes in bulk to convert them into rental properties.
Ossoff's inquiry targets 4 major companies, including the company Rebecca rents from, Invitation Homes. It also targets Main Street Renewal, Tricon Residential, and Progress Residential. He shared details on his investigation during a recent press conference.
To date, my staff has interviewed more than 160 witnesses, including housing policy experts, local officials, realtors, attorneys, renters, and prospective home buyers. Georgians consistently report being unable to find a home that they can afford and that they've been squeezed out of the housing market due to rising home prices.
After 10 years as a renter, Rebecca is finally buying her own property to call home.
Do you think that living here and having to pay those rent increases impacted your ability to be able to buy sooner?
Absolutely. Absolutely. Just with everything that's going on in the world anyway, as it is, this has just made it a lot harder for us.
But her struggle highlights a bigger affordability issue, driven in part by corporate investment strategies.
We are leaving this house in 9 months. That is a 100% certainty. So it has impacted us in a lot of ways, but other than that, it's just been a very, very long road.
Reporting in Middleburg, Tiffany Salome, Channel 4, the local station.
We reached out to Invitation Homes for comment. A spokesperson says it is always our intent to provide high-quality homes and a professional leasing and property management experience for our residents. We remain in contact with Mrs. Jove after installing a new HVAC system in her home earlier this month. And while Senator Ossoff's investigation into these corporate landlords plays out, more legislation is being introduced to help with affordability. Earlier this year, Senator Ossoff and Florida Senator Ashley Moody introduced the Bipartisan Helper Act of 2025, which would establish a new home loan program to help first responders and teachers purchase homes in the communities they serve. We'll follow that legislation and bring you updates as it moves through. And you can watch all our reports on addressing affordability by scanning the QR code you see right there on your screen.
Wow, that is wild. And you know the crazy thing is that was just one company. That one company has 80,000 homes across the United States. These are 80,000 families that are going to become forever renters. Think about it. She's been renting with them for a decade. Let that sink in. That house was probably, what, 2,000, 2,300? Because I've been looking up more about Invitation Homes, and this is just one person that's had an issue with this company. A lot of other people had issues with this company as well. Like that first video you guys saw on the way in, that lady was with Invitation Homes. It's crazy, and that's just it's just the fact that they're allowed to hoard so much into things. They're hoarding something that we need. Housing is not a want, it is a need, and they are keeping it. They're buying all these starter homes, buying all these family houses, and with no consequence. That is so greedy. So greedy. Welcome to America.
How is America continuing to build all these ridiculous ass apartment complexes, but charging almost $3,000 for one bedroom? And who in the hell are affording to move into these ridiculously high, overpriced, expensive apartments? The national average salary is like $55,000, something like that. I'm not the best at math, but 56,000 divided by 12 is like $4.6 thousand a month. That's like 75% of your check gone if you're paying $3,000 a month for an apartment. Not to mention you got food, you got electricity bill, you got car payment, car insurance, gas. You like to go shopping, get new clothes. God forbid you need a haircut every 2 weeks or you got to get your hair done. And God forbid you have fucking kids' mouths to feed. That's even double. The average income earner cannot afford these overpriced ass apartments. So who the fuck are they building these apartment complexes for? And what makes it even more hilarious, every single fucking year, these greedy ass landlords continue to increase the rent. So pretty soon, if you haven't already, we're going to be seeing $4,000, $5,000 a month apartment complex prices. And my question is, why do they keep getting away with this? How, as we as a people have not gone up there with pitchforks, knives, and any type of weapon that we can find to put an end to this madness? We are literally allowing them to run our pockets fucking dry. What happened to America? We used to protest way back then the minute taxes went over 2%. Now we are getting taxed damn near half, if not more than half our fucking money. Rent is out of control. Housing prices are out of control. Mortgage is out of control. Every single bill known to man is completely out of fucking control. And all we do is we go on TikTok, we bitch moan, we complain, and then the next day we get up, we go to work, and we pay that overpriced ass rent. Why, as we as a people have not done anything about this? Because we have not revolted. Us not revolting means that these landlords will continue to increase the rent every single year. Us not revolting means that these developers will continue to buy up a whole bunch of land, knock down these trees, and build overpriced ass apartment complex on top of apartment complex on top of apartment complex. Us not revolting will lead to housing prices continue to skyrocket, mortgage rates continue to skyrocket, and everything else known to man to live continue to skyrocket. As much as this problem is corporate greed, another half of this problem is us not fucking revolting and taking a stand against these corrupt, greedy motherfuckers. We, as a people, have allowed them to get away with so much shit, they have become borderline unstoppable. And it's sad to say, but I think there's no coming back from this.
So I just got home from touring an apartment, and this whole drive home, I have been stewing with anger because between the time I signed up for that tour a week ago and the time I got there to do the tour today, the price of the unit I was interested in has gone up by $300. $300 in a week. And I no longer qualify for the unit at all because it went up by $300 in a week. And they were talking about, well, the supply and the demand. The supply and the demand. That's why it went up. They skyrocketed over the last week because of the supply and the demand. What are these landlords going to do? These property management companies, because it's not even necessarily like individual landlords, it's these property management companies. What are they going to do when nobody can afford to live in their apartment complexes? What are they going to do when nobody can afford to live in their building? Because this place is also requiring 3 times the rent in income. I have a degree and a salaried job, and I don't make that. There's no reason why any person with a college degree and a salaried job should not be able to qualify for like a basic apartment, any basic apartment. And I'm going to tell you something. I work in housing, okay? I work at a nonprofit that houses homeless families. I work with homeless families with children. And every single day, I see the consequences of this. I have a client that brings in $4,000 a month and is homeless. They bring in $4,000 a month through their job and they are homeless because of the price of these apartments, because of the income requirements. I see every day these people going to look at apartments, applying for apartments, and getting priced out by the time they can fill out the application, priced out between the time they tour the apartment and apply, priced out between the time they see the apartment and when they apply, and sometimes it's one day and they're priced out. Some of these people have evictions. I don't give a fuck what you think about evictions. You can have an eviction from 6 years ago. Good fucking luck. You're homeless. You're homeless because you got evicted once 6 years ago because you lost your job. I see people dealing with the consequences of unfair and illegal evictions. People who are homeless because they were a stay-at-home mom and their husband died. And some of these people have income. Like I said, I have a client that brings in $4,000 a month and can't afford to live anywhere. And what are these places going to do when no one can afford to live there anymore? And all of these people who would say that this is fair, the landlords should be able to make a profit off of housing, right? That's a whole different, don't even get me started on for-profit housing. But all of the people that would say this is fair, the landlord should be able to make a profit. All these people that are bringing in money and can't afford to live, that's their own problem. We should just throw them to the wolves. We shouldn't be giving them any money. On my way to that apartment tour, by the way, I drove past a cop kicking a homeless man off the corner. Like he had anywhere else to go. There's nowhere to go. There's nowhere to go. And I'm going to tell you something. I'm going to tell those people something, those people who are anti-spending money on homeless people. My organization, which is one of literally 1 million in the United States, spends an average of $30,000 to provide emergency shelter to our clients. $30,000 per client. And that doesn't include the rehousing. That doesn't include the stabilization. That just includes paying for their emergency shelter. Just the bed. $30,000 per client. Per family. And that is all government grants. That's all government money. It's all coming from emergency shelter grants from the government. It would be so much cheaper for everyone, less of a burden on everyone, if rent was just affordable. Like, there's literally no downside to making rent something that people can afford. There's no reason I should have a homeless family in my care that's bringing in $4,000 a month. There's no reason. There's absolutely no reason. They make more than I do. They make more than I do. But because of the rules about bodies per room and they have a family with kids, they can't support themselves. And that person makes more than I do. It's insanity. It's insanity. And I am so pissed off. I'm so pissed off. Where are we all supposed to go? Because at the trajectory this is going, we're all going to get priced out. What are we supposed to do? And where are we supposed to go? I don't get it. What are we all supposed to do?
I was just thinking, because the guy in the previous video asked the same question. Like, what are they going to do if no one can afford it? I have a question. I have an answer to that. Knowing how these companies are and how this country is, those business people would rather pull a bankruptcy and shut the entire complex down before they lower the prices. So that's what they're going to do. They're going to file bankruptcy and then shut down shop.
No one can afford homes in the United States of America. I said what I said and I meant it. Let's start with how much the average home costs. As a 23-year-old, I'm considered a young adult. I do not have $400,000 lying around in my pocket. Nor are any loan or approvers probably going to approve me because what? I'm 23 years old. A lot of you are probably saying, well, what about your job and how much do you make? That's besides the point, right? Because everyone is supposed to be able to afford a home in the United States of America, right? It's the American dream, the white picket fence, the kid. No, that's not the case no more. Y'all are lied to. I am so tired of being gaslit by our government, making it seem like we are the problem. So then tell me, why are interest rates so high on houses, right? Because that's your doing. The next thing is, let's talk about why the homes are so expensive besides the interest costs. The amount of money that it takes to build a home now is astronomical. And y'all's friend said he wanted to put tariffs on other countries. The material is already extremely expensive to build and no one can afford it. Not even builders can afford it. That's why the homes are so expensive. Now, for people who already have their home and have already bought their home, that's great. And that's nice and all for you that your prices are extremely high and that you probably purchased it for $99,000 and it's probably worth over $500,000, $600,000. That's really nice for y'all. But how about the people who want a house as well? Think not only about yourself, think about your kids or your grandchildren that may want a house in the future. It's not fair to anyone. And then y'all force us and gaslight us to live under rent, where it also increases every year. This is getting absolutely ridiculous. The housing market is going to crash and no one is going to like what happens next. But don't say everybody ain't been telling y'all.